hope it was on.
Look, well, if it wasn't on, it's on now.
It's on now.
You're gonna get something out
You're
of
gonna
it.
get something out of it, yeah. No, so what I was telling you is that the member, he comes in all the time. We always talk about God. But he told me this story. He says his dad was an alcoholic, his brother was a druggie, or what have you. And he said, man, my dad really never talked about God. My brother never talked about God. But he said, the way he said, they both live, rough lives. He said, but they weren't bad. He said, man, they weren't bad people. They weren't bad people. We talked about this world. This world just, they grabbed them and just kind of ate them up, grabbed them and chewed them up or what have you. But he says, one night he was drinking and he was worried because matter of fact, his dad and his brother had passed. They had passed. And he knew the type of life they lived, but he was basically on his journey to get closer to God. So he's asking God, man. He's asking God, where are they? Where are they?
Right.
Are they in hell? Are they in heaven? Right. Where are they? And he says, I'm in my garage at like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. And he was drinking himself because he was trying to, he was hurt, one, because he had lost his dad and his brother.
Right.
And then he said, I was emotional because I wasn't sure if they had made it to heaven or not.
Right.
So he asked God where they were. And he says, man, all of a sudden, he's looking and a vision comes to him. This is the way he explained it. A vision comes to him and he sees his dad and his brother on a boat, on like a yacht. Okay. And they're just driving down and they're waving and yelling and just waving and smiling.
All right.
Waving and smiling. He said, man, I got so emotional, I just broke down. I just broke down. He said, what? He says, he's showing me that they're okay. They're okay. And I thought to myself, I said, man, my dad and my brother, they weren't bad people, but they never even talked about God. I never heard them talk about God, but it's only through God's grace and mercy. Grace and mercy. He said that's the only thing, that's the only way they can get to where they are. That's the only reason they're riding around on the yacht. Grace and mercy. To me, obviously you want to go to church, right? You want to have that spiritual journey. But it made me think, Kevin, because God's grace and mercy, he gives everybody an opportunity. Mm-hmm. Gives everybody an opportunity. And there's some people who may not be, practicing like you and I are doing, may not be going to church every day. But like my member says, they're not bad people. Mm. But they're broken. They're broken. And only God can see what's inside of them. Mm. And that's all I can figure. But we'll never know why he chooses who he chooses. We'll never know why he gives the grace and mercy to those two. Only he knows.
Well, we talked about that in group. We talked about that a little bit, mm-hmm. and that's why we kind of backed up a little bit in group, mm-hmm. because when people go to church or people say they believe or they read the Bible or they've been in church for years, mm-hmm. we all make the assumption mm-hmm. that the foundation was correct when it was laid and that we all are basically all on the same page, mm-hmm. so to speak. And we're not. As you often say, everybody's journey is different, and mm-hmm. some people are further along on the journey, and mm-hmm. even though you've been in church for years, mm-hmm. and that's why we backed up. So what he experienced and what we experienced too, and that's why people often say, for that reason, man, you're gonna be surprised at who you see in heaven, mm-hmm. because it's not about us going to church, mm-hmm. it's not about us coming to groups, it's not about us sitting out and making podcasts. Mm-hmm. It's not just about what people say. Well, it's in your heart. Well, it's not about that, because there's nothing you can do. Mm-hmm. It's about your faith in God. And it's even not about that, because watch, you you and I wouldn't have come to God hadn't he drawn us to him. What do I mean? Well, we're dead. The Bible says you were dead. And if we look around in the natural, dead folks, they don't move. They don't talk. They don't think. They have no desires. They're dead. The Bible says you was once dead to me. So how we get to you? I drew you and you answered. See, I drew you and you responded. I did everything. And that's what the Bible says, God says, you didn't do anything. Salvation, coming to live with me, that's a gift that only I can give. Only I give that. So there's an invitation, but the invitation is kind of strange, comes after he has to invite you, but he has to come and get you, basically. He has to put it in you to come and see him. And that's kind of weird because you go, huh? And that's part of what we consider the mystery of the gospel. And part of the gospel is just what you said that member experienced, meaning that salvation, we don't even get that. It's like, well, why would he save a person who we see as sinister and ugly and mean?
Yeah.
Why would he say that? I know that person didn't go to heaven. You don't know where that person went.
Exactly.
And that, in the natural, we say only God knows the heart. That's true. That's true. But it's your faith in God that you've made Jesus your Lord. That says, okay, you good. But they just wouldn't rob the bank. Jesus is their Lord. They're good. They're forgiven for that. You mean they're forgiven for bank robbery? If, in fact, I don't know the person and neither do you, we don't know that heart, as we say in the natural. We don't know that heart. But if their heart is for God, and they robbed the bank, well, how could they do that? I don't know. You'd have to ask God. Yeah. So that's what he experienced. He experienced the world broke them, the world took them and shook them and kept shaking them and kept shaking them. And they did some things that weren't always considered good. But he said they were good people, man. They were good people.
They were good.
They didn't always act right, but they were good people. They didn't even go to church,
they were good
but they were good people. Going to church don't save you.
And God knew that.
Going to church we go to church for fellowship, to be around people that are like-minded. You don't go to church to be saved. And you can't go to church. Going to church don't get you closer to God like we think.